Hello Sailors, you're watching The Dodgy Kebab, and this video is all about the recent collapse and resurrection of the private World of Warcraft server, Molten, or, as I like to call this whole issue, Molt Down. Now, before I go any further, I know Molten are going to have many users that are going to say, why on earth are the Molten staff even talking to that utter cunt Dodgy Kebab? I too am going to have viewers that are going to say the same thing but in reverse. Now, I don't think I really need to go over what I've said in the past, as most of that is pretty well known. But when I saw that Molten was hijacked, remember hijacked, not hacked, that's a key point here. When I saw they were hijacked and the amount of damage that was done, I really thought that this whole event could be a catalyst for change. So rather than make some cheap video that pokes fun at Molten, I thought I'd make something that really explains what happened and why maybe we can all pull something good out of this whole situation. So, before we hear from the Molten team, I'm going to give you the rundown. So, on Thursday night, I noticed that people couldn't log into any of Molten's servers. Then Friday morning, I found that every server has gone down and there was a major problem. Not long after, the entire website goes down and their Facebook page starts acting a bit strange. Turns out that staff members hijacked the Molten database and destroyed their backups, and has managed to cut the rest of the staff off from all Molten services. This staff member is Hermes. Once the rest of the staff managed to regain control of the website, all the player characters are gone, and it seems as Hermes has made off with a lot of community funds. While the staff are trying to get their server back online, they create a new Facebook page because Hermes has hijacked the old one and is putting out some questionable information. Now the realms are starting to come back online and the website is back, but to add more to this madness, it appears that Hermes has set up a rival server and is using the old Molten backups, so all the characters that were lost are now on his server. Now, I have no way to actually check how valid the claims about Hermes' rival server are because all my accounts are probably banned, but I've been told by regular viewers that Hermes' server does contain everyone's old characters, but personally, I think the rival server sounds a bit shady, and even if my account does work, I would be very cautious about using it. Right, you got that? Right, good. Let's ask the Molten team to see what they've got to say about all this. This first set of questions is things leading up to the hijack. Also, in the questions and answers, when this name appears, I'm just going to say K because I'm not 100% sure how that's supposed to be pronounced. This Kaya, I don't know, but K, just going to be K. Okay, right, here we go. Question 1. In the weeks, months leading up to all this, was there any indication that something was wrong or that Hermes was up to something? Answer: no, we had no indication that Hermes would seize control for himself. As most active users can attest, Hermes was generally less involved with the community and wasn't as communicative as leadership had been in the past. K. But we had no reason to suspect that he would more or less betray both the staff and the community like that. Question 2. Something Sapphire said made me wonder. Sapphire said, "We're no longer being oppressed. K has granted us our freedom." Don't take this the wrong way, but Molten used to be known as somewhere that dealt the banhammer rather fast, and was not unknown for topics to disappear from the forum. Were these the effects of the oppression that Sapphire spoke of? If so, can you elaborate on this? Answer: while I wouldn't say it with the same dramatic flair as Sapphire, I would affirm that Hermes' leadership directly impacted the way in which the staff communicated with the community. As I and other staff members have already stated, we are trying to be more open and communicative moving forward, as we have been about this whole large-scale loss and our attempts at recovery. In addition to being less free to inform players of upcoming developments, we were also given more strict instructions regarding maintenance on the forums. While we are certainly being more lenient currently while things are so tumultuous, this doesn't mean that we're going to completely stop removing content that violates the forum rules or stop banning people who consistently violate those rules and ignore warnings. This is, after all, a private forum from which we all have the right to forbid people to use. We're not lurking other websites, searching for negative comments and getting content removed or banning people here for what they do on any other website, but we absolutely will continue to exercise our right to remove content from our own website or ban people who violate the rules that are clearly outlined and agreed to by anyone who posts here. While it may be more exciting and interesting to gossip about things disappearing from the forums and speculate about how their content may have been offensive or unwelcome, the fact is that people have always been welcome to simply ask any moderator why their thread or any thread was deleted via private message. If anyone is ever confused about the rules here, they can ask. Again, this has always been the case. I think I've told people this literally hundreds of times at this point. Confusion stemming from the removal of a thread is solved pretty quickly by sending a message to whoever moderator happens to be online at the time. Threads directed towards staff are often removed because the forums are usually intended to facilitate discussion between players and not act as a support system. They're just not an efficient setup for that and aren't organised in a way that facilitates communication with a specific person or small handful of people, like staff, the way private messages or visitor messages are. That doesn't mean we're unwilling to talk to people or incapable of accepting criticism. Obviously right now the entire forum has become a support site, but that's because of the current extraordinary events regarding the loss of everyone's characters. Normally the forums are intended as a place for people who play on Molten to talk to each other about things directly pertaining to Molten. In regard to the ban hammer being used liberally before, we haven't extensively discussed permanent changes to our ban policy. We do have pretty clear guidelines we follow regarding forum bans, but don't issue them arbitrarily. We do intend to be more forgiving and tolerant in the future, as evidenced by the fact that we chose to unban everyone and remove the infraction history from every user, and we will likely discuss adjusting our ban habits once things calm down. Now moving on to questions that are all regarding events happening right now. Question 1. After reading the text on the website's front page, it sounds like Hermes was putting community funds into his own pocket and telling the rest of the staff at Molten that they were having financial problems. Would I be right in saying that? Answer. It's quite possible that Hermes was siphoning off money from Molten for his own gain. We can't really comment on his personal motives or goals, but any evidence we possess about any illicit use of funds from Hermes will be sent to the appropriate authorities. While it's a significant loss for Molten, we're going to keep the servers operational and disconnected from Hermes' influence and allow the relevant governing agencies to investigate Hermes' behaviour themselves. Our primary concern is keeping the servers up and running, not pursuing personal vengeance against Hermes or speculating about his motives. Question 2. I heard a story that someone found a security flaw in the authenticator system and broke in that way. Is that just a rumour or is there any fact in that? Answer. That's just a baseless rumour. We've had no issues with the authenticator or any account security in general. This problem with databases being lost is entirely related to the actions of Hermes and his associates, named on the main website, and has nothing to do with account security. Question 3. So, was Hermes in charge of the community funds? If not, was he not acting alone? Answer. Hermes was the personnel primarily responsible for managing the community funds, paying various operation expenses, that sort of thing, along with a couple of his employees who have continued to work with him to refuse other staff access to the servers and essentially hold them hostage. However, Hermes is the only one of the 3 who had any community presence. That is to say, none of the admins, GMs or mods that you've seen around the community participated in this. Question 4. Was Hermes in charge of the database and backups? If not, were those people part of this attack too? Answer. As Hermes was in charge of renting the servers the databases backups were on, he also had the authority to remove other staff members' access to those databases. While these were 2 other people working with him, this colossal loss is primarily the result of Hermes grossly abusing his administrative power here at Molten. Moving forward, he will have nothing to do with the